let's get the discussion groups to come to talk first. The question for group 2, is the ending too sensational? Why did Emily Grierson murder her lover? Did she really kill him? How would you rewrite the story?
We agree that the ending is too sensational because at first we think Homer Byron just left and not dead, and we think it's terrible to accompany corpse.
And we think why the reason why Emily murdered her lover is due to the society background and her own insecurity, because she wants to stay with Baron. However, Baron didn't make any promise with her. So in order to get her own security and to stay with her lover forever, what she can do is to murder Baron.
And for the third question, did she really kill him? We have two possible answers, and most of us think that yes, she did kill him because she bought the poison, and before when her father died, and she refused to trust that her father was really passed away, and she bought the poison, and so we think that yeah, she did kill her lover. And the next answer.
The different answer. I don't think Emily killed the girl, Baron. Because I just don't think that a person is possible to kill the one he loves, and the part that Emily bought the poison, I think it's really used. She really used it to the rats, and there are very big amount of the rats because the corpse and the house is not clean.
We think that the writer can tell us more about the details. The writer can tell us whether Emily is sick, crazy, or not, because normal people don't do this kind of things. She kept a dead body with her for so many years. It's kind of very disgusting. And the writer can also tell us more about the murder part. Maybe after Emily brought the arsenic, she asked the Negro servant to cook a delicious meal. And when the Negro was busy cooking the meal, she added some arsenic secretly. Maybe that's how Homer Byron died.
Okay, thank you very much. Group 5.
We think the character, the author characterized the narrator as a group of people, because if it was a single person writing, describing about Emily's life, there are too many details and dialogue for one person to know all of them. So we think it's a huge group, and we also think it's a woman's group talking about Emily's life, because women are more chatty and gossipy, and yeah. Okay.
There were actually two possibilities that we thought could be the narrators, because other than the group that Stephanie just mentioned, we also thought it could be the ghost of Colonel Sartori, because the narrator seemed to be everywhere. He knew what everybody was thinking, and through how he remitted Emily's taxes, he showed sympathy and maybe a more feminine side, which was how the narrators were portrayed as.
For the second question, we think on the first question we already say that it might be a group of majority women, but if the narrator are men, they might not care too much to the details of this woman's life, or he will be more passive about this whole story, and we think that the story will not be so interesting with the men's view.
Okay. Do you have similar experiences with being part of an observing gossip public? Yes, I think so. As we were observing the celebrity, like a while ago, Chen Zixuan, right? We like to follow the topics, the news, yeah, but we don't really want to get involved in it, okay? And like when people are to the Emily's background, they're like more like aristocracy, and to this time, like more like people who are greater, who are under the highlight. They will put much more attention to them, and but we don't really care about them or want to help them. Okay.
As I just said, love and death is a popular topic or a frequently treated topic. Next semester, you'll be reading some poems dealing with that, basically discussing how love cannot conquer death. I think in traditional literature, that's a theme. You know, how love is always defeated by mortality, 就是人会死亡 mortality. But then on the other hand, in modern literature or contemporary literature and films, I think the artists try to explore human psychology or human desires more deeply or more frankly. And that's why there are different types of desires which are for us eccentric, but actually they are not really ill, or they are not really a matter of disease or madness. Necrophilia is one. People have also been discussing whether pedophilia, 恋童癖, and bestiality are wrong or not. I'm not saying that I agree with these modes of desires, but just for your information, they may not be completely wrong. It all depends on how you define love. It all depends. For instance, like in my case, you know, I think that love or sex, you know, have to be a kind of exchange between two willing parties, and for that reason, I don't agree with pedophilia. But it doesn't really mean that pedophilia is completely wrong. There can be like spiritual love for children because of their purity, because of their beauty, etc., etc. And as long as the lover does not violate the children they love, I think it should be okay. Okay. And in terms of necrophilia, there are actually, as far as I know, there are 2 films dealing with that. Or 3, but I only remember, at this point, I only remember one title, and that is Talk to Her. I think you know this film, right? 悄悄告诉她. No, by Almodovar, Pedro Almodovar. In the film, the woman is actually not dead, but paralyzed, completely losing her consciousness. And then the one who falls in love with her takes tender care of this paralyzed patient to such a degree that at the end he wants to have sex with her, etc., etc. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because you should be, you know, enjoying watching the film by yourself instead of getting the plot. She was unconscious, and that's why he was later put into prison. But she came back to consciousness because of this. Because she was pregnant. The whole thing is very complicated. You know, what I want to tell you is that, you know, you really shouldn't just get the summary and then say, oh, this is sick. No, you should go and see the film. The film also deals with use ballet dance to present human connections, to present how there is a kind of love for the sick and the weak, which is very tender. And then once this love gets to be extended, you know, maybe this love will become sexual. You know, so it's actually very complicated between man and woman, between two men, etc., etc. Very complicated relationships. Okay. There are two other films, Canadian films, whose titles I forgot now. Which literally describes necrophilia, as a kind of pure love, to such a degree that in one story, a boy, the guy, killed himself in order to fulfill his lover's love. His girlfriend is one with necrophilia, so the boy killed himself to kind of make the love realized that way. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that there's a big wide world beyond us, and sometimes there are some personalities, some desires, some behavior which may not be wrong. We just need to take time to understand them, before we try to decide whether we agree with them or not. I'm not saying that you should agree with them, but at least maybe we need to spend some time understanding them first. Okay, so this is the first thing, and then the second thing. Has anyone of you thought about the possibility that Homo Baron may be homosexual? Yes, right. Okay, it's interesting that Faulkner does not deal with it. Faulkner just say that he's a how does he describe it? A guy man, a man with guys. Yeah, who likes to be with guys. Okay, but I think in Faulkner's time, maybe homosexuality is not, really out in the open. So like a few years before, about 10 to 20 years before the publication of A Rose for Emily, on the British side, one British writer can be put into prison because of his homosexuality. Oscar Wilde, can be put into prison just simply because he is homosexual. Okay, so etc. So I think it is interesting that the writers still deal with it, but not in a very explicit terms. Okay, but I think the names suggested Homo Baron. But then why Baron? Why Baron? I think a lot of it can be further discussed. But to really make a judgment or to really interpret what it means, I think you need to read more of Faulkner. You couldn't just read the story and then say, "Oh, Faulkner is homophobic," etc. So you shouldn't say that. You need to read more to make this judgment. Okay. And about the narrator, I agree with the group that. It's very likely that this is a group of women. Okay, but then at some points when they deal with the issue of smell, it seems to be a combination of men and women. Okay, I do have this stereotype about women being more observant, being more gossipy, and also being more capable of sympathy. But then this is just a stereotype. I think the fact that Faulkner does not pin down the gender of the narrators, I think he may be challenging our stereotypes. Because we tend to think that women can gossip, maybe men can too. Men also like to gossip too. Okay, so I think that's one possible question that Faulkner posed to us. Also, you need to, even if you have not watched the discussion I had with David, I think you need to be aware that there are two interpretations of Rose in A Rose for Emily, and that you can get also from the way Faulkner respond to it. In different occasions, he talk about the rose in different senses. One is like a tribute or a sympathy paid to Emily, and the other is suggesting that Emily is one who suffers. So rose is something she does not have. So one is that a rose is something to give to her. That the story itself is a gesture of sympathy and respect paid for Emily. And the other is that in the story there are a lot of rose images, especially in the bridal chamber. Okay, so in that sense, rose is faded. with fading colors. Rose is something she cannot enjoy in.